Today on a somewhat bittersweet Rob Watches, I'm going to finally be taking a look at Batman vs. Two-Face, the direct-to-DVD animated movie that features the final performance of Adam West. This, of course, is a direct sequel to Return of the Caped Crusaders, which came out not too long ago, and I did a video on that. And this time around, Batman is going up against Two-Face, which is interesting because Two-Face was not one of the villains featured in the original 60s Batman show. I heard he was originally supposed to be in it, but he was deemed too scary, I think, so he was left out of it. So it's really nice that they finally brought him in. All of the original voice actors from the previous movie come back to reprise their roles, but of course I do have to mention that Harvey Dent and Two-Face were voiced by William Shatner, who did an amazing job as usual. And it was really cool that they brought together two of television's biggest icons, and they did an amazing job together. I really like that they played up the bromance between Bruce Wayne and Harvey Dent, and they also used it for a few gags as well. Like, there was scenes like with Aunt Harriet would show up and say something like, "Oh, look at you, two eligible bachelors are such best friends together," and you kind of know what they were getting at there. It was something that they did in the first movie too. I didn't really talk about it, I don't think, in my original review of it. But they would, play up things like Batman would be infatuated with Catwoman, and then Robin would start getting jealous. And I don't think it was Batman that he was jealous for. It played up that whole gag about how, this rich bachelor guy and this young apprentice sort of thing. And obviously it's not true, but they did definitely take quite a few jabs at that. And there were a few other tongue-in-cheek moments as well, because, it's the 60s Batman. There was a scene where Commissioner Gordon and the Chief of Police were in their office, and there was a crime happening, and they were like, "Something needs to be done. Yes, we need to act swiftly. I'll have my best men on it." And then they would pause and be like, who are we kidding? Just call Batman. See, little things like that. And while there were quite a few tongue-in-cheek moments, there were moments where they kind of tried to play it straight, because they had turned Two-Face almost right at the beginning of the movie, and then Batman stops him and then changes him back into Harvey Dent. And for the majority of the movie, we don't see Two-Face. It's just Harvey Dent. And they really did a good job of sort of playing up the whole duality with Two-Face, the whole psychology behind it. And that was kind of a welcome change from a lot of the silliness. And I love the silliness, but it was really nice that they actually took this pretty seriously. And because Two-Face only showed up at the beginning and the end of the movie, it left a lot of space open in the middle for other Batman villains to do things, because a lot of the villains were shown off in the end of the original movie, and a lot of them really didn't do anything. They were just kind of there for the big fight scene at the end. So it was really cool that they allowed them to do some stuff. But again, the stuff with Two-Face was the best part of the movie. Without spoiling too much, I think they were alluding to a possible twist ending. Like, things were sort of going one way, and then it seemed like they were going another way. And there was a lot of misdirection. And it did get a little bit confusing in a few parts, but it wasn't really anything that hurt the movie too much. I should also mention that in addition to Two-Face, there were some other characters who were not originally in the 60s Batman show. One of them was Hugo Strange, who was the inventor of the evil extracting machine, the one they showed off in the trailer, and it was at the beginning of the movie. And even though he wasn't originally in the show, I have heard he's featured in the 60s Batman comic, the recent comic that came out based on the 60s Batman show. But most shocking was Harley Quinn was in this movie. Or rather, Harleen Quinzel, her original identity. And it was really strange seeing her in the continuity of the 60s Batman show. But she fit right in. So overall, I'd say this is about as good as the original, if not even better. Because with the original, it was mostly just a love letter to the 60s Batman show. But with this, it seems like they just took all the assets from that show and did their own thing, and they did a fantastic job with it. It is kind of unfortunate, though, because between this movie and the previous movie, it seems like they were trying to maybe rejuvenate this franchise and, maybe do another movie every once in a while in the style of the 60s Batman show. But without Adam West, I really don't see them making another one of these. I mean, they could just recast Batman, but I don't think they should. It just wouldn't be right. With the great care they put into these movies, I would have loved to have seen more of these, but this looks like a franchise that's finally gonna go to rest. Now, like I said before, there is the comic out, this 60s Batman comic, which I've never read myself, but I hear is pretty popular right now. So even if they don't make another movie, it is good to know that the Bright Knight's legacy is well intact. But it was great while it lasted, and now we have these two movies that we can greatly appreciate. And maybe they'll even get some younger fans interested in checking out the original Batman show. Well, that's all I got for Batman vs. Two-Face. Leave a comment below and let me know what you thought of it. And let me know what your favorite Adam West moment is. My name is Rob, and we miss you, Adam West.